Hello and welcome back to my channel, Breaking Boundaries with Beluka. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick update on the fracture front. I am still in my walking boot, still on crutches, but not as much on crutches. So things are going okay. I'm slowly recovering. So yeah, that's what's happening on that front. But in this video, I wanted to share with you what are some of the biggest differences I have found between London and Valencia. And there are 10 main differences I have found. So before I start to go through them, some of you may be wondering, why did I choose Valencia in the first place? And the main reason was because I wanted to go to a city that was also by the beach. So Valencia has a beach. It's more of a city beach, but it's still by the sea. And I also wanted to go somewhere that had a nomad and entrepreneurial community, so I would be able to, meet like-minded people and make friends and have that community near me. So those were the biggest reasons. I also wanted to be somewhere that wasn't too far away from the UK time zone as well. And all of those things kind of meant, this was one of the cities I came across and I was like, that looks good. I'd never been here before, but I think that added to the sense of adventure and excitement that I really wanted to create and experience. So what are the biggest differences that I've found here so far? Well, the first one is around food in terms of meal times. So in the UK, typically, breakfast is like 8-ish, 9 maybe, or if you're an early bird, maybe you have breakfast 7. Lunch is normally taken anywhere between 12 and 2. Then dinner is about like 6 to 7:30-ish is normally what most people will have. So in Spain, it's very different. So there is your breakfast, which is still kind of when you get up. And then there is a meal, which I suppose is the equivalent to the UK brunch, when we have our breakfast and lunch combined, but they will have their breakfast still, and then they'll have this meal, which is taken between 10 and 11. And it's a sandwich with olives and peanuts as an appetizer, a cold drink, and then coffee to kind of finish off the meal. And I need to get this right. It is known as almuerzo in Spanish, or esmoca, I hope I'm saying this right, in Valencian. And it's kind of part of the tradition. So that meal will be had, and then they will also have a lunch at like maybe 2 o'clock, 2:30 at the earliest. And then dinner is it's so different. I mean, when I came here and I was proposing that I would meet with my friends at 7 for dinner, I mean, some restaurants are not even open at that time, which is just crazy. So dinner is normally taken about 9 o'clock, 9 p.m., maybe 10 p.m. So that is definitely one of the biggest differences I've noticed. The second difference, which I suppose is kind of linked to that, but a little bit separate, is that the day seems to start later, but go on later. So in the UK, if you're going out to a bar or a club, then maybe you'll go out about 11 and you'll probably come home about 2 or 3 a.m, maybe latest if you were going partying, maybe 4. But on average, like when I used to go out in London, be back by like 3 latest. Here, it's very different. Here, the clubs are only opening at like 1, 2 a.m. and people will stay out until 6 a.m. And no, I have not experienced this. Maybe I will once. But the problem is, as the Spanish people here tell me, is that, you get back so late, like 6 a.m. and then the next day is a total write-off. But yeah, partying is later here. Dinner is later here, and the day just feels later, and people start their day typically a little bit later on as well, is what I've experienced so far. Third difference is that people here are super friendly and open. It's very easy to strike up a conversation with someone. I've been going to a couple of language exchanges, but even people in the street or people in the shop, everyone's very friendly and open. And I think in London, and maybe this is more of a London thing than a UK thing, but in London, it can be quite cold. I find even on the tube, no one really looks at each other. It's like sacrilegious to look at someone in the eyes or say hello to a stranger. So that's definitely another difference that I have noticed here. Fourth one is that work-life balance is definitely emphasized more. And I think this is maybe a European thing rather than a Spanish thing per se, but people will take like a full-on lunch break. They will, take hour and a half, 2 hours for lunch and actually go out and like sit down and eat. If you've watched Emily in Paris, you'll know what I'm talking about. Whereas I think in the UK, in London, it's very normal to just grab your lunch and have it at your desk for 15 minutes and continue. So that's very different. There's a real emphasis on enjoyment of life as well as work. I think there's a sense that work is part of your life rather than work is your life. And I think it's getting much better in London and in the UK, but definitely there's certain times when I really didn't feel like that. Number 5 is that the weather here, obviously, is very different. It's hot and humid. However, in the first week I arrived, it was actually when the UK was experiencing the 43 degrees heat wave. So actually it was hotter in the UK. But overall, it's obviously hotter here. It's more humid. And so temperature is definitely a big difference between the two cities. Number 6. So this is probably one of the differences I love the most. And it is the fact that in London, to get to places, typically you have to take the tube, maybe you take the bus. Normally it will take like 40 minutes on average to meet someone else in London because it's quite a big city. And, if you're going from northwest to southeast, that is like totally a bit of a longer journey. Valencia, because it's a smaller city, people tend to cycle everywhere or walk everywhere. So even if you're in like another neighborhood, to get to the center, I'm in El Carmen, to get to the center, it's like half an hour walk or like 10-minute cab. So I feel like transportation-wise, it's really good because you can just get around so much quicker. It's like easier to meet people. And I really, really like that element. Whereas I felt in London, I really had to plan in my transport time and commuting time whenever I was doing anything. So number 8, you might think the siestas are a myth, but they are real. So some of my Spanish friends will siesta, take a nap, typically taken between 2 and 5 o'clock, roughly. It is a thing here. It really is. Obviously, I'm not doing it because I'm working in the day. I don't really want to start napping in the day. But people do it. And I think it's because of the weather, really, the heat, and it's just very different. But what's interesting is they'll have their siesta and then they will work a little bit later. Or, for example, some of the shops here will be open like 10 till 2, then they close 2 till 5 or 2 till 6, and then they'll open like 6 till 9 p.m. So that's very different to the UK, where like the shops are open, 9 till 6 or even the whole day, to be honest. If you think about London, it's, they're open like 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. often. Number 9 is that the cost of living is definitely cheaper. I remember actually, I think it was on my 3rd day, I went to the fruit market and I got like 3 avocados, a whole punnet of grapes, some cherries and some peaches, and the whole thing was like €4. And I was thinking in London, like one avocado is like £1.80. So a lot of things here are cheaper, like even a sangria drink is like €4, €3. In London, that would be probably like €9 or £9. Like it's definitely cheaper here, and it's the value for money is, I think, better. And that kind of goes without saying, like London is an expensive city. And number 10 is just the scenery. It's a different city with different things, different architecture. It's got the sea, it's got different attractions. And, in that respect, it's just a different city, and the scenery and the type of buildings here are different. It's very pretty. It's quite quaint. There are loads of little streets you can get lost within. Whereas London is amazing because London, you have different areas and every area is different. Like you think about Chelsea, how that is different to Camden, how that is different to Shoreditch. Valencia has a very pretty feel. It's got a lot of character. So overall, I definitely feel like I'm, settling in here. I feel like, okay, the language is taking a bit of time, but that's okay. I think if I was staying here permanently, maybe I'd feel a bit more invested in learning the language, but I know I'm only going to be here for like a few months. The heat, you do adjust to the heat, but it definitely took me a bit of time early on. And overall, I would say the culture here definitely in the atmosphere is like relaxed, friendly. People are very open. And it's really interesting because the nomad and the entrepreneurial community, these are super, super smart people who you have their own businesses, typically back where they are a citizen within, but they're working here for the lifestyle. I think, Valencia is not like a business city, but what's really cool is people who are coming here just to work remotely. And I love that. And it's also part of my whole experiment to see if it's possible to combine your career and your lifestyle. And so far, it's such an interesting city. And yeah, I feel like I'm starting to combine the two. How long that'll last, I don't know. But it's been very interesting and eye-opening to see some of the differences between Valencia and London. So I hope that was interesting. If you have any more differences, maybe you've been to both cities, then comment below. And if you would like to see me post on any specific topic, then also let me know. Please do like this video, subscribe, and follow along. And I will see you here next time. Thank you.